Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract success, peace, and positivity into their lives, while others remain stuck in a cycle of negativity and struggle? The difference isn't luck. It isn't external circumstances. It's focus. Your thoughts shape your reality. The energy you give to certain ideas, emotions, and experiences determines what manifests in your life. If you constantly dwell on problems, you will find more problems. If you focus on growth, discipline, and peace, you will attract more of it. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Your mind is your most powerful tool, but are you using it to your advantage, or is it working against you? Think about this. How often do you replay negative experiences in your head? How much energy do you waste worrying about things beyond your control? What if, instead of focusing on what drains you, you started directing your attention toward what strengthens you? The answer could change your life. In today's lesson, we will explore the Stoic philosophy behind focus, how it directly impacts your reality, and how to shift your attention to attract the life you deserve. Stay with me until the end, because this isn't just another lesson, it's a blueprint for transformation. Before we begin, drop a comment below. I choose to focus on what empowers me. Hit the like button, share this with someone who needs it, and subscribe now. This is just the beginning of your journey to unshakable strength. Let's dive in. Part 1. Your focus shapes your reality. There is a silent force shaping every decision you make, every emotion you feel, and every outcome in your life. Your focus. What you give your attention to, whether consciously or unconsciously, dictates the reality you experience. Yet most people spend their days consumed by distractions, negativity, and worry, fixating on problems they cannot change while neglecting the things within their control. But what if you could change everything simply by shifting your focus? Imagine a man drowning in worry. Every day he wakes up thinking about everything that could go wrong: his job, his relationships, his finances. He obsesses over what people think of him, replaying past mistakes and dreading future failures. The more he worries, the worse his situation becomes. He starts making fearful decisions, withdrawing from opportunities, and reacting impulsively to every challenge. But then, something shifts. One day he discovers a simple truth. His suffering is not caused by his circumstances, but by his perspective. This realization is not new. The Stoics understood it centuries ago. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view they take of them." In other words, your external reality is only a reflection of your internal focus. Two people can face the same challenge. One crumbles under pressure, while the other sees it as an opportunity to grow. The difference is not in the situation, but in their perception of it. Now, let's take this idea further. Have you ever noticed that when you dwell on a problem, it only seems to grow bigger? When you focus on stress, every small inconvenience feels unbearable. When you expect failure, you find evidence everywhere to confirm it. But the opposite is also true. When you focus on solutions, suddenly options appear. When you look for reasons to be grateful, you start seeing them everywhere. What you focus on, you attract. Let's put this into perspective with a powerful story. James was once trapped in a cycle of negativity. He constantly worried about his career, convinced that he was destined to fail. Every setback became proof that he wasn't good enough. He compared himself to others, resented their success, and felt stuck in his own misery. But then he came across a simple challenge. For 1 month, focus only on progress. Instead of dwelling on what was missing, he forced himself to acknowledge what was working. Every morning he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for. Every night he reflected on small wins, no matter how insignificant. Within weeks, everything changed. He started taking action, new opportunities came his way, and for the first time, he felt a sense of control over his life. His circumstances didn't change overnight, but his mindset did, and that changed everything. This is the core of Stoicism. It's not about controlling the external world, it's about mastering the internal one. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The moment you stop fixating on what is beyond your control and start directing your focus toward what you can change, your life begins to shift. But how do you apply this in your own life? Start by noticing what dominates your thoughts. Do you spend most of your energy worrying about things you cannot change? Do you replay negative experiences, keeping yourself trapped in the past? Or do you focus on solutions, self-improvement, and growth? The truth is, your mind is like a garden. If you plant seeds of negativity, fear, doubt, regret, your life will be filled with weeds. But if you choose to cultivate thoughts of gratitude, discipline, and purpose, you will attract the life you truly want. Let's make this personal. Have you ever caught yourself obsessing over a problem only to realize that the more you focused on it, the worse it became? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. Because the first step to changing your focus is to recognize how it has shaped your reality so far. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. Redirect your energy toward what you can influence, your mindset, your actions, your response. You are not powerless. You are not stuck. Your focus determines your future. Choose it wisely. Part 2. How negative focus attracts more negativity. The mind is a powerful tool capable of shaping our entire perception of reality. Yet, too often, we allow it to work against us instead of for us. When we dwell on negativity, we unconsciously attract more of it. It's a vicious cycle, one that the Stoics understood well. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they multiply. If you focus on possibilities, they grow. The choice is always yours." Sarah was someone who never realized this truth. She was intelligent, ambitious, and driven, but her life felt like a constant struggle. Every conversation revolved around how people had wronged her, how toxic friendships had drained her, how no one truly understood her. She believed she was simply stating facts, venting about reality. But what she didn't realize was that her obsession with negativity was inviting more of it into her life. One day, a friend gently pointed it out. "Sarah, have you ever noticed that the more you complain about toxic people, the more they seem to show up?" She dismissed it at first. How could simply talking about bad experiences make them happen more? But as she started paying attention, something clicked. The people who drained her energy were not new. They had always been there. The difference was that she chose to engage, to focus, to fuel the negativity with her thoughts. She started to experiment. Instead of complaining about toxic relationships, she redirected her conversations toward people who inspired her. Instead of looking for red flags, she began searching for signs of kindness in others. Slowly, her world shifted. She didn't change the external circumstances. She changed her focus, and suddenly, life didn't feel as suffocating. But why does this happen? Why does what we focus on seem to multiply? The answer lies deep within our brain's reticular activating system, RAS. The RAS is a powerful filter, deciding what deserves your attention and what can be ignored. Think of it as a gatekeeper, sorting through the billions of bits of information bombarding your senses every second. It allows you to notice what matters most to you. Ever learned a new word and suddenly heard it everywhere? Or bought a new car and now see that exact model all over the road? That's your RAS at work. Now, imagine how this applies to negativity. If you constantly tell yourself, people are untrustworthy, life is hard, nothing ever works out for me, your RAS listens. It filters reality to confirm your beliefs. It highlights every small disappointment, every rude interaction, every inconvenience, while ignoring the good things that contradict your expectations. Not because good things don't exist, but because your mind is trained to overlook them. To experience this firsthand, try this quick experiment. Look around the room you're in and search for red objects. As many as you can. Take 10 seconds. Memorize them. Now close your eyes. Without looking, recall as many blue objects as you can. Hard, right? That's because your brain wasn't looking for blue. It was filtering out everything except red. This is exactly how focus works in your life. If you constantly focus on what's going wrong, your mind will filter out everything going right. The result? A distorted, exhausting perception of reality where all you see is negativity. Now the real question, are you unconsciously attracting negativity? Many of us do without realizing it. We dwell on past mistakes, replay conversations that upset us, anticipate the worst before it even happens. We think we are just being realistic, but in reality, we are training our minds to amplify what we least want. The Stoics understood this deeply. They taught that our greatest power is our ability to shift perspective, to focus not on what drains us, but on what empowers us. So how do we break the cycle? First, awareness. Start paying attention to where your mind goes when you're on autopilot. What thoughts dominate your day? Are they about growth, gratitude, and opportunities, or are they about resentment, frustration, and blame? Simply becoming conscious of this pattern can begin to weaken its hold. Second, reframing. When a negative thought appears, challenge it. Ask yourself, is this the only way to see the situation? What's another perspective? If you believe people are always disappointing, counter it with, there are good people in my life. Am I noticing them? If you think, I always fail, ask, what have I learned from this that makes me stronger? Third, conscious redirection. Just like Sarah, make an intentional effort to focus on what you want to attract. Seek out conversations that inspire you. Keep a gratitude journal. When frustration arises, pause and ask, what's one good thing I can focus on right now? At first, it will feel unnatural, but over time, just like training a muscle, your brain will start filtering the world differently. Now, take a deep breath and reflect. Are you unconsciously inviting negativity into your life? If you're ready to shift, make a commitment right now. Comment below, I choose to focus on what empowers me. Because once you shift your focus, everything else shifts with it. Part 3. Redirecting your focus towards strength. Most people drift through life reacting to their circumstances, feeling powerless against the negativity they encounter. They believe that their thoughts and emotions are shaped by external events, when in reality, their focus determines their experience. The Stoics understood this distinction well. Instead of allowing distractions, hardships, or failures to consume them, they mastered the art of redirecting their focus towards strength. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is the harsh truth. Our minds create more pain than the world itself. Think about it. How often have you dreaded an event, rehearsing worst-case scenarios in your head, only for the reality to be far less painful? The problem isn't the world, it's where we direct our mental energy. The Stoics learned to take control of this process, ensuring that their thoughts strengthened them rather than weakened them. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, embodied this practice. He ruled during times of war, betrayal, and immense responsibility, yet he remained unshaken. Instead of obsessing over the many things beyond his control, he repeatedly reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." His ability to maintain focus wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice. He refused to waste energy on what he couldn't change. Instead, he focused on his actions, his character, and his ability to endure with wisdom and grace. Imagine what would happen if you applied this principle in your own life. If you stopped focusing on things that drain you, other people's opinions, past regrets, future worries, and instead directed your attention toward growth, resilience, and self-improvement. How much energy would you reclaim? How much more powerful would you feel? Consider the story of Daniel, an entrepreneur who spent years facing rejection. At the start of his career, he pitched his business idea to countless investors. Every meeting ended the same way. "No, we're not interested." Each rejection felt like a personal failure, reinforcing his fears that he wasn't good enough. It would have been easy for Daniel to give up, to focus on the negativity and let it define him. But then he made a simple yet life-changing decision. He stopped seeing rejection as an ending and started seeing it as training. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, he shifted his mindset. Each rejection was now an opportunity to improve. He analyzed feedback, refined his pitch, and kept moving forward. Over time, those same investors who had dismissed him saw something different, a man who had grown sharper, more confident, more relentless, and eventually he succeeded. Not because the world changed, but because his focus did. So how do we apply this in our own lives? How do we train ourselves to focus on what strengthens us rather than what weakens us? It all begins with a conscious shift in perspective. The first step is awareness. Pay attention to the patterns of your thoughts. Do you constantly dwell on what's missing in your life? Do you replay past failures? Do you focus on obstacles rather than opportunities? Negative thought patterns don't just happen, they are habits we reinforce daily. By identifying these patterns, we regain control. The second step is deliberate redirection. When you catch yourself fixating on a negative thought, challenge it. If you think, "I always fail," reframe it to, "Every setback is preparing me for something greater." If you think, "People always let me down," shift it to, "I choose to surround myself with those who uplift me." If you think, "I can't do this," remind yourself, "Every skill is learned. This is just part of the process." This isn't about ignoring reality, it's about choosing a reality that empowers you. The Stoics weren't naive, they didn't deny hardship, but they understood that focusing on weakness only makes it grow. To reinforce this practice, Stoic journaling is one of the most powerful tools. Every morning, take a few minutes to write. One negative thought that arose recently, how it made you feel, a Stoic principle that can help reframe it. Over time, you'll see a shift. You'll begin catching negative thoughts before they spiral, replacing them with thoughts that strengthen you. This is how you reclaim control. Let's put this into action right now. For the next 24 hours, whenever a negative thought enters your mind, replace it with one empowering thought. If you find yourself dwelling on failure, reframe it as a lesson. If you catch yourself worrying about something you can't control, redirect your energy toward what you can influence. Then, at the end of the day, reflect on how this shift impacted your mindset. Try it and then share your experience in the comments below. Did you feel different? Did your focus change your energy? Drop a comment. I choose to focus on what strengthens me. Because the moment you master your focus, you master your life. Part 4. Mastering Stoic Focus for a Purposeful Life. Most people drift through life allowing their minds to be pulled in 100 different directions. Their attention is scattered between worries about the future, regrets about the past, and distractions that serve no real purpose. The result? A life filled with stress, dissatisfaction, and a constant feeling of being overwhelmed. The Stoics, however, understood that true strength lies in mastering focus. They knew that a disciplined mind leads to a disciplined life, one free from unnecessary suffering and rich with purpose. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor carrying the weight of an entire empire, did not allow himself the luxury of distraction. Every day, despite political turmoil and constant battles, he trained his mind like a soldier sharpens his sword. He reminded himself that external events were beyond his control, but his thoughts and focus, those were his to command. His personal journal, Meditations, is proof of this mental discipline, filled with reminders to stay focused, to disregard distractions, and to direct his attention only toward what truly mattered. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. If a man governing millions of people, facing betrayals, wars, and chaos, could maintain focus, what excuse do we have? The truth is, most of us don't lack time or ability. We lack the discipline to control our focus and cut out what doesn't serve us. But how do we train our minds to stay sharp? How do we practice the same laser-sharp focus that allowed the Stoics to thrive in the face of adversity? The answer lies in deliberate mental training. Just like an athlete strengthens their body through consistent practice, we must train our minds every day to remain clear, calm, and purposeful. One of the most effective ways to do this is through morning mental rehearsal. The first moments of your day set the tone for everything that follows. Before the distractions of the world creep in, before emails, social media, and external demands flood your mind, take 5 minutes to visualize your day through Stoic lenses. Ask yourself, what challenges might arise today? How will I respond to them with wisdom instead of emotion? Where will I direct my energy? Will I focus on productivity, growth, and resilience, or waste time on things I cannot control? If this were my last day alive, what would truly matter? This simple practice, when done consistently, rewires your brain to focus on what strengthens you instead of what drains you. It prepares you mentally for obstacles, eliminating emotional reactions and replacing them with intentional responses. Another crucial element of mastering focus is eliminating distractions. Seneca once wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." In today's world, this has never been more relevant. Social media, endless notifications, and the constant flood of information pull our attention in 1,000 directions. But here's a hard truth: if you don't control your focus, someone else will. The most successful individuals, whether in business, art, or sports, understand the 80-20 rule of focus. This principle states that 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. The key to achieving anything extraordinary is identifying the small, high-impact actions that truly move the needle forward. Instead of scattering your energy across meaningless tasks, ask yourself, what are the few things that will bring me the greatest progress? To illustrate this, let's consider 3 individuals who transformed their reality by mastering their focus. The athlete. James was a talented runner, but his progress stagnated. He trained hard, but his mind was filled with doubts, distractions, and frustration over external pressures. When he shifted his focus, visualizing his races, controlling his self-talk, and eliminating unnecessary worries, his performance skyrocketed. He learned that physical ability wasn't enough. The true battle was in his mind. The artist. Sophia dreamed of becoming a renowned painter, but self-doubt consumed her. She focused too much on criticism, comparing herself to others and fearing failure. The moment she redirected her attention to pure creation, blocking out distractions and immersing herself in the joy of her craft, her art flourished. Instead of seeking validation, she focused on mastery. The entrepreneur. Daniel had a struggling business, not because of lack of potential, but because he spent too much time worrying about competition, unnecessary details, and things outside his control. When he applied Stoic focus, prioritizing only the essential tasks that drove real growth, his business transformed. He learned that success doesn't come from doing more, but from focusing on what matters most. So, the question is, what is your focus creating? If you feel overwhelmed, scattered, or unfulfilled, it's time to take control of where your energy goes. Ask yourself, am I spending my mental energy on things I can control or things I can't? Am I focusing on my goals, growth, and inner strength, or am I distracted by negativity and trivial concerns? If I focused only on what truly matters, how much progress could I make? It's time to make a decision. Choose one thing, just one, that you will focus on for the next 30 days. It could be building a new skill, improving your mindset, strengthening your discipline, or eliminating a distraction. Whatever it is, commit to it fully. And to solidify this commitment, drop it in the comments below. Let this be your first step toward a life of true clarity, purpose, and power. Because once you master your focus, you master your destiny. Part 5. Protecting your focus. Setting boundaries. Focus is like a flame. It can either illuminate your path or be extinguished by the winds of distraction. Yet many people go through life allowing their attention to be hijacked by external forces, endless obligations, toxic relationships, and trivial distractions that pull them further from their true purpose. They find themselves exhausted, constantly drained by things that do not serve them, yet unable to break free. The Stoics understood a fundamental truth. Without strong boundaries, your energy is scattered and your potential is wasted. To master your focus, you must fiercely protect where your attention goes. Imagine a man named Daniel. He was ambitious, full of dreams, yet his life never seemed to move forward. No matter how hard he worked, he was always overwhelmed, caught up in responsibilities that weren't his to bear. He spent years saying yes to obligations he didn't truly want, engaging in conversations that drained him, and tolerating people who constantly disrupted his mental space. He justified it by telling himself he was being kind, supportive, and loyal. But deep inside, he knew the truth. He was sacrificing his own growth just to keep others comfortable. By the time he realized this, years had slipped away. Time he could have spent building his future had been wasted on things that didn't align with his purpose. This is the silent cost of failing to set boundaries. Your focus is stolen, not all at once, but in small, unnoticed moments. A pointless argument here, a distracting phone call there, a day wasted worrying about someone else's opinion. Before you know it, you are exhausted, frustrated, and lost. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." In other words, the people and things you allow into your life shape who you become. If you do not take control of your focus, someone else will. Marcus Aurelius, despite ruling an empire, did not allow himself to be consumed by distractions. He did not chase trivial matters or waste time defending his actions to others. His mind was trained to focus only on what mattered, and he protected that focus relentlessly. He wrote in Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." He understood that distractions only hold power if you allow them to. His ability to detach from what did not serve him was not a sign of indifference, it was a sign of mastery. Boundaries are not about isolation, they are about clarity. When you fail to set boundaries, you allow the world to dictate your emotions, your schedule, and even your sense of self-worth. You become reactive instead of proactive, constantly adjusting to the demands of others instead of shaping your own destiny. Many people struggle with this because they fear appearing selfish, but saying no to what drains you is not selfish, it is self-respect. Every unnecessary commitment, every toxic interaction, every hour wasted on meaningless distractions steals from the energy you could be directing toward your growth. One of the most powerful ways to protect your focus is to take an honest look at your daily life. What is consuming your attention? Who are the people that leave you feeling drained instead of energized? Where do you find yourself spending time that does not align with your goals? Once you identify these things, you must make a decision, either remove them or significantly limit their influence over you. This is where many hesitate, fearing conflict or disapproval. But remember this, every moment spent worrying about what others think is a moment taken from your own progress. If you continue to prioritize their expectations over your well-being, you will never break free. Imagine a man standing in the middle of a marketplace, bombarded by noise, distractions, and demands from every direction. He is constantly being pulled from one thing to another, unable to focus on what truly matters. Now imagine that same man stepping away from the chaos into a quiet space where he can think clearly, act decisively, and move forward without interference. That is the power of boundaries. They do not isolate you, they liberate you. They give you the ability to choose where your energy goes, rather than allowing it to be scattered. Many of the world's most successful thinkers, artists, and leaders have understood the necessity of eliminating distractions. They do not allow themselves to be pulled into meaningless debates or wasted conversations. They do not let social media dictate their self-worth or let negative people occupy space in their minds. Instead, they cultivate environments that support their growth. If you want to master your focus, you must do the same. The simplest yet most powerful way to begin is to practice saying no without explanation. When something does not align with your values or goals, decline it without guilt. You do not owe an excuse for protecting your time. You do not need to justify why you are prioritizing your well-being. Those who truly respect you will understand. Those who do not were never worth your time in the first place. At first, setting boundaries will feel uncomfortable. You may second-guess yourself, wondering if you are being too harsh. But over time, as you start to feel the clarity and energy that comes from protecting your focus, you will realize that boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about making space for what truly matters. They allow you to pour your energy into relationships that uplift you, goals that inspire you, and work that fulfills you. They ensure that your time is spent on things that bring value to your life, rather than things that drain it. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." This is the ultimate truth of focus. Freedom is not about doing everything. It is about choosing what deserves your attention. If you allow distractions, toxic people, and unnecessary obligations to control your mind, you are not truly free. But the moment you decide to reclaim your focus, you take back control of your destiny. Now, ask yourself, what is one thing you need to cut off today? Is there a commitment, a habit, or a relationship that is draining you instead of strengthening you? Are you willing to make the difficult decision to prioritize your growth over temporary discomfort? If your answer is yes, take action. Make the decision to remove what no longer serves you, and do it without hesitation. Your energy is sacred, and where you direct it determines the course of your life. If you are ready to reclaim your focus, drop a comment below. I choose clarity. Let this be the moment you declare to yourself and to the world that you will no longer waste your energy on what does not serve you. Because once you master your focus, you master everything. Your focus is the most powerful force shaping your reality. Every thought, every mental habit, and every ounce of attention you give to something expands its presence in your life. If you focus on problems, they grow larger. If you focus on possibilities, they multiply. The mind is like a garden. Whatever you nurture flourishes. The Stoics understood this truth, mastering their focus to cultivate resilience, wisdom, and inner peace. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "A man's life is what his thoughts make of it." This is not just philosophy, it is a blueprint for life. If you constantly dwell on negativity, worry, or comparison, your life will reflect that turmoil. But if you choose to direct your mind towards self-discipline, growth, and what truly matters, your reality will shift in ways you never imagined. You are not a prisoner of your circumstances. You are the architect of your perception. So ask yourself, where has your focus been? Are you channeling your energy into something that empowers you, or are you letting distractions and negativity steal your potential? The choice is yours. If this message resonated with you, take action now. Like this video and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Comment below, I choose to focus on strength. And most importantly, subscribe now. Because this is just the beginning of your transformation. Your mind is your greatest tool. Use it wisely.